Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Derry Titan with the Film Mechanic Screenwriting Podcast, and today's guest is none other than Angela Nissel, and she has written on some of your favorite shows. And today we're going to sit it out. I don't even want to start with that. She's one of the co-founders of OK Player. I've been going to OK Player as when I was young in my hip hop days, getting all my news, listening to all of the songs they will post on there, like of all of the music from around the world, the international music, the new songs that was coming out. So I'm very familiar with that, and she is part of my. She didn't even know she was a part of my upbringing in the hip hop industry, but that's really what it is. So why am I doing this to myself? Angela, tell us a little bit more about you.
I was like, you better stop before you make me cry. I'm gonna be honest, that was so sweet. Thank you. Thank you. Ooh, okay. How can I start? Yes. Okay, player. When, I guess I was one of the first people to use the internet to get out of a current job, which was okay, player, which I love. But back then, the internet, we were still dialing up, it was like waiting, mom be like, get off the phone so I could get off the internet so I can use the phone. Those days. And I just always liked writing. So I started writing. This was actually before OK Player. I started writing about how broke I was in college just because I was broke as hell. And people liked it. And so when there were other message boards, they called them Usenet back in the day, where you would post about hip hop or like if you like gardening. And I had a link in my bio, a link in my signature with, I write about being broke. Went on to start OK Player with Questlove. A year later, had totally forgotten I had even had this. This is how broke I am. And a woman from Random House contacts me and is like, have you ever thought about turning this into a book? And I had for a long time, but every time I sent out a query letter, I got rejected. So I just gave up. Fast forward to book comes out. It ends up on Oprah. It was crazy, right? But I'm still broke. No one tells you how to make that. Book writing is totally separate from TV writing, which was what I was trying to get into. And the names out here, they call them all lit agents. I'm like, I got a lit agent. I'm like you with your degree. Like, I'm ready. I'm selling stuff on eBay. I'm so broke. I'm selling my own clothes in bundles. And this woman from WB, she has a WB email address, says, asked me to drop the price on one of my items. And I said, yeah, sure. Well, and she was like, wait, were you just on Oprah? Why are you selling used clothes on eBay? Well, I am. I ain't had no friends. I was like, I'm out here trying to be a writer. That's when I noticed that her email address was from the WB. She said, well, I'm an executive. Send me your script. When you send me, it was a hat she bought for me. If it's good, I'll send it on. I sent her the hat for free. She sent it to an agent. I was like this close to packing up and going back to Philly. Agent met with me, got me a meeting on Scrubs. I'm on the meeting not knowing that this is an actual meeting to get a job on Scrub, because out here someone will be like, yeah, let's have a meeting. And you just meet in a coffee shop and you're just talking about whatever. And then I get a call back. Oh, you're hired. Thank God I didn't know anything, because coming out here is such a difference in how you get hired and what you're expected. I would have had on like a three-piece suit with my little resume. That's how I was raised. But so that's how I got my first job. And so blessed, lucky, whatever you want to call it. I was there for 7 seasons, and that does not happen anymore for screenwriters. Yes.
No, they switch directors and writers, and they switch everybody but the cast, and that they get there starting to even get used to even switching it, like these what is it, those shows where it's just like one season of that and then they switch the cast for the next season and things like that. So they're starting to get into more of that too. So
You know why? Because we're talking about the business and it's cheaper.
oh yeah.
You don't act right, we'll fire you. All right, we'll get somebody else that'll work for half you work for.
That's why I created this podcast, to talk about these types of things.
I love that you're talking about the business part, because that is what I wish I would have understood more of when I got out here.
Oh yeah, the one of the things about the screenwriting business that a lot of people don't know is that we don't screenwriters don't take the business component serious.
Woo.
See, the producers the studio execs, they take it serious. Like the unions, the agents, they take it serious. It's the writers who don't take it serious enough. And in this particular session or this particular season of the podcast, I wanted to address like that component of it, just the business. So how long have you been in the business, Angela?
Woo! I came out here in 2001, started on Scrubs 2002, 22 years.
Oh, so in the span of those 22 years, give us a quick like rundown of some of the shows you've been a part of.
Woo, Scrubs. There was one after Scrubs called Till Death. There's Boondocks. There's a bunch of shows that never went to air. There is The Other Black Girl, Ginny in Georgia. Wow. I'm forgetting some in the middle, I'm sure. Oh, Tyler the Creator Show. There, that's the quick version. If there's any other ones, they probably aren't even on DVD. So no one's heard of them.
So I saw one, The Last OG,
Ooh, I forgot that one. Yes.
right? All of the TV series that you worked on, which is really so. Was your book option? What's for? Tell us the title of your book, and then tell us the process of that.
Ooh, the book was called The Broke Diaries. That was the first book. There's another one coming out. But it was option. Let me tell y'all, Hollywood, we're talking about the business side, so I'm gonna try to weave in as much as I can. Hollywood is all about somebody else making something hot and then grabbing onto it. I made more money optioning my book to producers who wanted to make something out of it than I did off of the book itself. Because once it hits a little bestseller list, it's like, oh, someone else has gotten their return on their investment. I bet if we did it, we'd do it too. I was batting away checks. I tell anyone who has a book, make sure you get it out there. Just in, even if you have to self-publish it. But yes, getting the book after a whole bunch of rejection when I started with Melody Guy, and my mom is in my ear, heavenly ear, saying, that's because she's a Black woman. It was easy. She literally said, this is a book I want. I'm going to go to bat for it. And she did. And I mean, the process of that, just being able to create with someone who understands your point of view implicitly, is a lot different than most of the time in Hollywood. So
Yeah.
the book, that's pretty easy because they kind of give you creative freedom because you can't lose too much money for them on books. So
So when it was option, so like did they come to you to option it?
they went through my agent, and I'll tell you back then, again, this was, oh, the book came out 2001, and this was 2002 through 2007, got optioned over and over and over. Think of Black actresses in 2002 to 2007 that didn't already have to have a platinum album out. Like we had Brandy, like she had her show. Who else had a show back then?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody. So when it comes to optioning the book, and producers want to put together what's now known as a package to make it more palatable to the studio. Like, if you make this series, we will include this actor and this director. Well, all the studios knew back then, again, was that girl from Moesha and Spike Lee. So those were the names that everyone was trying to get attached. So I just knew I was going to be rich. We had producers and directors attached that I love. Reginald Hudlin, like growing up, you told me I would be working with Reginald Hudlin. Studios do not care. And so that was a hard lesson for me to learn. And I think also something for the younger people to know today. Y'all have options to pick from. There are so many good actors and actresses out there that you can attach to your projects. It ain't like us, like, damn it, I'm gonna get Spike first. You know, there is a abundance of richness out there right now, which makes me excited because I'm still around to enjoy some of it.
Yeah. And see the thing of it is when you have written a book that's a like a bestseller and this option and then this package and it's put in front of people and you have like, of course they don't see you as Angela Nissel. They see you as a dollar sign, as a, big ticket. Like once we produce it, we gonna get these, we can get this, these people gonna come. So why did it not get picked up? Let's talk about that real quick.
You know what interestingly is, for most of the time it was optioned, I wouldn't know why it didn't go because I was on Scrubs and these contracts are very if I'm working for ABC, they are not going to let me go make HBO hit. You know what I'm saying? So it's, even though it was my book, I gave a producer the right to option it. I really couldn't tell you. And it's funny because people always ask me this. I can tell you what the issues were when I came in. Again, not having, well, what actress of color are we going to attach to it? And I remember even Journey Smollett was interested at one point. And these names that are big to us aren't the blockbuster names they want to attach. So that was what I saw. Also, to be frank, the first time I probably tried to write it on my own because I thought, I wrote the whole book. I can write the script. It was probably hot garbage. I would be embarrassed to read it now because I didn't understand the three-act structure, and just, what drives a story forward that keeps eyeballs on it, even when they're left for a commercial. It took me about 10 years, I say, to really grasp that.
Oh, wow. And see, and that's what this podcast is about, like being able to be in a position to kind of like, even though you're writing on Scrubs, you're still trying to understand how to grab the three-act structure, which is ideal for anyone because every single story three-act structure it's the same, but it's different in terms of how it kind of unfolds itself or reveals itself, how the information reveals itself within the framework of it. Um, so you don't sell the broke diaries, right? You don't
Yep.
sell it. It's just option. So if you don't mind me asking, and I'm just asking if it's too much
Oh,
information, how much was each check you was getting?
this was 2002. So we got to put it in those dollars. Like 10,000 here, 12,500, which to me, coming from Philly, I was like, I can find rent for $600 a month and move back home and not work for a year. Like, I couldn't believe what was considered small potatoes to people out here. Like, this was my mom. I'm gonna be your manager. Like, it was, but to me, it was a check. This is what I love about Hollywood because this is something else my mom said when I was on Scrubs. I'll never forget it. I'm a real nurse and I don't get residuals off of everybody I save. Why do you get residuals for writing about my nursing ass life? Excuse me if I'm not supposed to curse on this podcast. But then, so, and we were literally getting served lobster at the at dinner as she like on the scrub set. She was like, "What is this?" And I'll never forget. I keep getting checks because someone thinks I can make them money for doing nothing. The book is already written. And that's when I was like, I got to figure this out here. I like this.
Mm-hmm. So, so you just stayed in LA. You just,
Because I was ignorant. And I think sometimes the more ignorant you come out here, the better. Because I was so grateful to Bill Lawrence for taking a chance on me, the young girl who had no idea why she was meeting with him. Now I understand because of the Me Too movement and all the stuff that was going on that I had no idea about back then. Bill Lawrence was like, we're going to meet in a very open, like on the street coffee shop. And I was like, what kind of interview is this? But everyone that I met with said you were raw funny, but you were green as hell. And I came in again back to the business thinking this is going to be the best job in the world where everyone's just sitting around telling jokes all day. But once I got into the room, I said, oh, this is why they work 14 hours a day, because that long list of people at the end, at some point during the day, someone's going to find a thread to unravel, and that's going to unravel the whole thing. Oh, props said they don't have the budget to do this, which knocks down this and this and this. So I think my greenness faded, but the idea that we could put our stories on TV, that never went away. I always wanted to do that.
oh, that's phenomenal. I love that. Hey, Angela, let's pivot right quick because I do know a lot of people that work in the industry, but they're not in the union.
Woo, it is. And that's another thing about the business aspect of it too, because sometimes I know some really good writers and we all just trying to pay our bills at the end of the day that will get attached to certain shows that aren't union. And then they have what other people look at as this non-union stink on them, like they're not good enough to write for union shows. And then they get stuck in that cycle. And I'll tell you this, a non-union show, they work those writers harder. And I personally, and I mean, I've worked on some crazy shows where we've slept there. So I would always tell people, please be careful the first job you take. Like go to the Writers Guild events, even the Zoom ones. I've met so many people who have guided me away from certain things just by sending somebody a nice letter, like you said, how you make people feel. Wow, you really opened my eyes to this. Can you tell me more about X, Y, and Z? And they've really guided me and kept me out of some situations where people might turn their nose up at my name because of something I worked on. But luckily now I'm in a place where I get to know who the good writers were that were overlooked. And now I can say, I know a job for you. So don't
And
worry. I don't.
and that's all that business in LA is: connect, connect to connect to connect to connect. That's all it is. So, all right, I don't want to take up all your time today because you are dropping some magnificent
Oh,
stuff
no,
out here.
like I really want people to hear what I wish I had heard. And I'm on the board of this thing called Black Girls Film Camp. And I find myself just being like, whenever I get a chance to talk to young people, because nobody taught me any of this. The names on TV were almost like the cartoons. They were something like they don't really exist in my world. And being able to talk to somebody who can guide you through this, worth more than all that debt we took on taking all them English classes,
Oh
in my
man,
opinion.
yes, absolutely. Because the thing is, nobody in the industry really cares if you have a degree or not. They just want to know, are you a dope writer? Can you listen? Like things like that. So they don't really care about the you could have 15 doctorates.
You just said something so important that I wish I had known as a younger writer. And please tell me, and you're going all way off the topic. Can you listen? Because I thought in order to make it in Hollywood, and this was one of my biggest mistakes in my first writing for Hollywood, was trying to show them that I could think out the box. Hollywood keeps putting out the same franchises because their formula shows it makes them money. You got to show them, what the box looks like before you can wow them with all this. So I think what you just said about can you listen is so important because as an artist, you want to be like, yes, but more flowers over here, and they're like, right, the Transformer movie, like that's what's happening.
And when you say that, because there's this, on Twitter, there's this big on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, they're always complaining why the reboots, why the prequels, why the sequels, and we never get anything that's different. And I'm saying you do. Like, if you really look at the movies that come out every year, like there are so many movies that are not reboots, prequels, or sequels. Like, and it's a lot of them. Are you paying attention? Is the real question, So
Oh, and this is such a good conversation. Sorry, I'm trying to get everything in. Off of what you just said, some of our we get to make the big movie like Girls Trip, but did we go see The Blackening too? Because The Blackening to me is one of the smartest movies. And from a business perspective, I want to know how they got that made. How did, but she proved it with The Girls Trip. You know what I'm saying? I could write the blockbuster. Now give me some money. So I'm saying have patience with people too if they're writing the formulaic ones, because that's what we have to do. Can you listen in order to make The Blackenings?
Are you at this current time selling anything? Have you sold anything in terms of a screenplay or a series?
When you first asked me to do this, I was like, wow, he talks a lot about film. I haven't done a feature, but I would like to. Then when you talk about connections, we had just come off strike and things are rough out there for like TV. And I said, God, please, please, please. I said, I want to do a film. I have some ideas. Somebody from back in the day when I was talking about that we couldn't get things made reached up to me and was like, Ange, I got a film I want you to do. Just pitch it. I went in. Pitching is insane. All three acts within like 15 minutes, keep them entertained. The executives were sitting there like this. And literally checking their phone. It is, as a writer, you got to get good at that. That's part of the business. But then I was like, okay, ain't nothing going to come out of this. Sold. It is for a streamer. It has a beginning, middle, and end, which is why I love film. There's no calling me back saying, well, have you thought about season 3, episode 4? We don't understand the character arc. There's an end, which is what I love about film. I don't have no, did I record that one? It's just, I don't want to say it, but I just have found I always have loved film, but there's just something about being able to sum up a story and leave people with a smile. It's just so satisfying to me in this first writing of a feature.
So features are like, because I come from the feature realm, but they're their thing is for producers is just a one-off. It has an average shelf life of 3 years, 6 months to 3 years after it comes out, and then it's forgot about, right? Yeah, but that's how a producer thinks. Like as in a business of screenwriting, screenwriters should not think like that, because as we're constantly working, like people are like, when our next thing come out, people go look for that last thing. See, they don't go look for a producer's last thing. They go look for a writer's or actor's last thing.
So funny you mention that, because whenever I see a billboard, it's like by the producers of such and such. I'm like, let me tell you, half of the producers' names, I have never met them. If you look, some people's kids are producers, their wives are producers. I wish more of the general public, meaning people who don't work in entertainment, would understand that produce just means somebody who had something to do with something coming together. Like, like you could have just gave somebody a phone number. If I give you this phone number and it gets made, you make me a producer, right? If someone hands you a business card with producer, don't think they can do like, I just see so many people get got out here, coming out here, and somebody has a producer credit on a movie, and they're all of a sudden giving them $500, and oh,
So the film you have coming out on the streamer, which is good. I want you to, man, congratulations. I celebrate that
I'm so
because
excited because I'm sorry, it's about things that I care about. And that's one thing you don't get to do in TV. It's someone else's vision. With film,
mhm.
if you pitch it and those are your characters, there's just such a freedom without having to bend to somebody else's will of what they think a character they just happen to make black would do. I'm not speaking from experience, but I am.
So have you ever sold a show before? Real quick.
Yes. Oh, you're like, Ange.
No,
Yes.
because I'm coming back to something you said. I'm coming
Yes,
back.
I have sold many shows, because when you first get out here and you get hired on a show called Scrubs, everybody thinks that you know what you're doing all of a sudden. But me, I didn't know the business side of it. Yeah, most people I know have sold shows. It's getting it past that, here's the script of the show stage. Once they start talking about, well, who could we cast? Who could we? Yeah, like I've sold. It's so easy to sell this, not easy, but that's the easiest step, is selling a show to the studio, then selling it to a network, getting them to put down the millions to make it. Oof, that's like 1 out of 100.
Mm, that is crazy. So, okay, you use the word easy, not so easy. Just what that process, share with us what that process looks like to sell a show.
Okay, I'm going to be very honest with you, because I've had to learn this the hard way. The process of selling a show is, as of now, being in a box like this, selling it to a room full of people with enthusiasm. And, like just, and then you won't guess what's going to happen next. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you found your husband cheating? Get them excited to give you enough money to put it on a page, which for them is pennies. Then, before you even pitched it to them, though, it has to go through 25 other producers who are the ones that put up we'll prove to the studios how, serious we are, because we'll put all our money and talent behind it. Blah. So once you go through that, which is like a 6-month process of getting everyone to tell you whether you're conveying 5 years, 5 seasons worth of characters and stories within 15 minutes in a good way, then you go out and try to sell it to a studio. Then you get tons of rejection. Then someone will say, wow, that person seems like they have an interesting point of view. And our data shows that people are buying shows about kangaroos or whatever I'm pitching. Okay, let's go to networks now. Then they decide what she said was interesting and people do love kangaroos. Go write your kangaroo script. So then you get a couple months to write a kangaroo script along with about 100 other people and who made it to that lucky round. Then they pick about, depending on the budget, 10, and they pick 50 reality shows because those are cheaper to make. I mean, that's how it is. That is really like 100% how it is.
You
It's
just you took me on a long process just to say, hey, listen, we not gonna make that, but we gonna do this little love interest show, reality TV, and we gonna script them too. So thanks for coming by.
And that goes back to what you said. They're going to script those too with the non-union writers, the same writers who are good enough to be on union shows, but if there's no union shows to work for, here you go.
But the goal is for us to work in this industry, right?
You are making, yeah, I'm like, if you are making a living, making checks off of something that you love to do and you have passion for, whew, that's winning. That is winning.
Yeah.
Because this industry ain't giving you a check for nothing unless it's 100%. Because there'll be 9 other people behind you. I'll take 61 cents if Angela don't want her 63 cents.
I know that's right. Angela, thank you so much for coming out and sharing this space with us. We truly appreciate it. I can't thank you enough. We will be in touch with you soon. For everyone that's listening to the Film Mechanic Screenwriting Podcast, do yourself a favor and make Angela a friend. You will never, ever regret it. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you. See ya.
We appreciate your support. Be sure to leave a review and a comment and share with your closest screenwriting friends. Stop by www.dairytitan.com for the Film Mechanic Screenwriting Workbook, and we'll see you next episode.